Happy Thursday, everybody, and happy St. Patty's Day. Today we have the special St. Patty's Day special for you. So we're going to cover a little bit about the calendar tool today on Benzinga Pro and show you how lots of people make money on Benzinga Pro using the calendar tool for research and a whole lot more. Also, we do have a sale going on for St. Patty's Day. So find that link in the chat and let me know if you have any questions about the sales. 35% off of our annual rate. So it's a great opportunity to use these tools if you never have in the past. So let's get started right here. I'm going to bring up my screen for Benzinga Pro, and you can see that right now I'm in the calendar tool. So if you're brand new, you will see that you have this navigation bar over here on the left-hand side, and you can open up any one of these tools, including the calendar tool, by clicking on that icon or clicking on in workspace. Now, the default will be to open up the earnings calendar, but I switched this over to analyst ratings. So you have this drop down of about 14 different calendars that are available to you. And just starting right at the top here, I wanted to open this up with a great way to generate ideas based off of analyst ratings. So what I did here was I clicked on the date range and I selected the past couple weeks, saying, out of all of the analyst ratings from the past 2 weeks, which companies have 3 or more positive ratings that I might want to take a look at. So I have all the ratings from the past 2.5 weeks, and I sort by symbol. So now I can filter all of these ratings for just the positive ones. So I go to filters over here on the right-hand side. We click on filters, and I can go down to rating and basically deselect everything and then just reselect the positive ones. So we have buy, market outperform, overweight, positive, sector outperform, and strong buy. So lots of green here in that rating column on the right-hand side. And so now I can also filter by the price target. So, maybe some of you want to filter out really expensive stocks or really cheap stocks. This is kind of a quick way where you can just click on price target and you could say price target less than, I don't know, $100. And that'll filter out some of those really, more expensive price per share stocks. So now as we scroll down here, pretty quickly we can see which companies have 3 or more positive ratings. And I could even get rid of some of these other columns, like say I might not need the name, the time, a lot of this other stuff. I already know that these are all positive ratings. And we could just look at the price target. Because really what we want to see here is what is the difference between the current price and that price target. So I might even just drag this over next to the symbols. And we can see, like, for a firm here, we can see that the current price is $36.90. They had 3 different ratings from the 14th and 15th. And the price targets from these 3 different analysts range from $55 to $79. So that's an average of $64 on the price target. So the question is, assuming I would agree with the analysts as I do some more research, would I be interested in making that difference per share that I invest over the next 12 months potentially? So yeah, let's say that's interesting to me. And you can see a firm is up 10% today. So I just click on that to do some more research. Now, the first thing that I would want to do here, as I'm looking at potential longer term investment, although you can use this for shorter term volatility as well, is what news is driving these ratings, or what are the analysts reacting to? Is this an initiation, or is there some other underlying catalyst that I really want to be aware of? And so we can see that if I click on the news tab, I can scroll down to see what was going on the 14th and on the 15th. And it looks like this is just pausing for me. Maybe I'll have an easier time on the details tool. I'll just drag that up here. So if I scroll down to the 14th and 15th, we can see that on the 14th, we're looking at an earnings catalyst. So it looks like they raised sales guidance for the year, and they had a strong outlook. So this looks like the guidance and the earnings could be a main catalyst for some of those other ratings. And then I would always want to zoom out on the chart. I clicked over to our chart tab on the details tool and see what else is going on with the chart. Now we can see a very clear downtrend here over the past few months. We could see that it was reaching highs in November. It gapped up. It had a huge spike up from August of last year. So August, November was going gangbusters, and then clear downtrend from here. I might even zoom out to the weekly chart if we're talking about years and months here, because we really want to see what context this is in. And we can see here that really it's at pretty close to all-time lows, and it has definitely been up in the 70s in the past. So it doesn't seem out of question for it to go from $36 to $64 per share, assuming the financials are looking good and their positioning in the competitive space is looking good. So really from the chart, I would be careful here, because if you're wrong, there's no telling how much lower it could go. But at the same time, there might be an argument for it reaching a bottom here. And then, of course, you can reach the financials here within the details tool as well. So it's a great opportunity to check that cash flow. What is their income compared to their market cap and things like that? So you can look at their balance sheet, their income statement, and their cash flow. All of this is downloadable to a CSV as well if you want to dig a little deeper. And the main point here is that this is a great idea generator, just to see some stocks that that a lot of analysts are positive on, or for some of you who short stocks, you might want to see, okay, they came out with these positive ratings. It had a quick spike up. Maybe I want to short this on a shorter term play as it reverts off of some of those short term highs. So yeah, I love the analyst ratings calendar. You can see I use the details tool as well. And then you could also change this just to a 1 day time frame. If you just want to see all of the upgrades or initiations or downgrades for the day, then with that, you would use the action. The action on security column. So where it says action on security, we could filter by that. And we could say initiates coverage on, maintains, upgrades, or downgrades if we got rid of some of those other filters. All right, I'm looking at the comments here on YouTube. Thanks, Zen Bullish. Thanks for your comments on the artwork. And I'm going to go ahead and throw this link for the St. Patty's Day sale. That's for 35% off into the comments here. So whether or not you celebrate St. Patty's Day, we all could use 35% off of Benzinga Pro Annual. That'll be $912 for the whole year, compared to normally it's around $1,400 for the year. All right, let's talk about next one up is conference calls. So just for a recap for anyone who just joined us recently, there's 14 calendars here. We just covered analyst ratings, and that goes all the way down to unusual options activity. So for conference calls, it's just handy in case you want to pay attention to those conference calls. Maybe you made a watch list of companies in your portfolio or companies that you're watching for earnings. In that case, you could filter by a watch list. Like we could say whatever was on this news and movers or different days. These aren't showing up for conference calls for today. Um, but if they were, then it would filter it down to those. And then you simply click on the webcast and it'll take you directly to their investor relations site or whatever site they're using for the webcast for their conference call. And sometimes it also has the phone number and access codes as well for those calls. Next up is dividends. So we have a dividends calendar here. Um, to be honest, I don't use the dividend calendar a lot personally, but a lot of people I talk to like having the X date right there, very easy to access for research. And then you could always click on the columns here to see all of the different fields that are available. So you can see you've got X date, symbol name, frequency, dividend, yield, announced, record, and payable. Um, so just what comes to mind is I could sort this by the yield. Maybe if I was looking for some high yield dividends, I could also change the date range. If I was wanting to see within a certain date range of X dates, which companies had a certain yield or the dollar amount of the dividend. So if you trade dividend stocks, then you can do your research right there. Quick little aside here is many of these calendars have counterparts in the news tool. So whether you're talking about analyst ratings or dividends, so on and so forth, if I open up the news tool here and then click on categories, we would be able to find many of these calendar types within the news category. And you can see here, I could choose dividends or earnings. Analyst ratings has its um, own category. But if I clicked on analyst ratings and then click done, that's going to give me all of the analyst ratings in real time right here on the news tool. Or if I clicked on dividends, I'll get rid of analyst ratings, go down to news and select dividends. Now I'm going to get any changes in dividend information right here on my newsfeed. So, fun fact, there's some correlation there between the different tools. All right, back to the calendar tool here. So we've got dividends. Next up is earnings. Now, this is going to be the default calendar that a lot of you are going to see when you first open up the details tool. And this is really great for preparing for the week ahead during earnings season or even the day ahead. Because again, you could click on the date range and then you could select a future date to see all of the companies scheduled to announce earnings in the future. And then you could even select a list of these companies and copy and paste those into a watch list. In fact, let's do that real quick. Let's right click on here and click copy. And then I'm opening up a watch list tool here. I'm going to create a new watch list. And let's say earnings next week. There we go. Create watch list. Now I'm going to paste these symbols that I selected into this watch list. Also notice how you could import a watch list from another source if you had a CSV from some other source. So now I've got this list of companies that are announcing earnings, and keep that in mind because now we could go and we could filter for unusual options, for block trades, maybe some other insight that would show us what some institutional investors are doing with those companies going into earnings. We'll just put that in our back pocket for later. Another thing you can do here is you could sort by surprise percent. So if you just want to see companies day of after they announce their results, which companies beat their expectations for top line or bottom line results, you can do that for EPS or revenue And then again, for any one of these columns, you can filter by those parameters with the filters on the right hand side. All right, I'm going on to economics. I think I covered this a little bit last week or earlier this week, but the economics calendar is great just to see which major economic events are occurring that day or on a different day. So let's say if you just want to look ahead, I mean, obviously, the Fed decision yesterday was huge in the United States, as well as CPI or PPI numbers. But I could take a look at next week, for example. Maybe if I just click the 21st to the 25th, and I have this nice little importance column here to tell me what to pay attention to. So it looks like we've got new home sales, core durable goods orders in the United States, and then you also have international numbers as well. So you know what to look out for. This also, there's a nice little article on the news tool for earnings for today or economic events for today that you can find as well. Next up is FDA. So this is going to be in real time only. So our FDA calendar is not forward looking. So that's why it didn't show any results there. But you can see that when I click on today's date, I do have results. It tells us the company, the event type here, like a foreign approval, data presentation, etc. And then let's see here. Lots of times you can see if it's a phase, like right here. It says phase 3 there. So you can filter by the drug status as well as the event type. For example, if I selected a different date range here, let's see here, went from 1 to 17, perfect. And now I could sort by the drug status. You've got orphan drug designation, phase 1, 1 and 2, 2, and 3. So this is all available in the calendar tool. And then the FDA and biotech news categories are one of my favorites. So this is great for seeing them in a table format. And then on the news tool, you could again go to categories. And under general, we've got biotech and healthcare. And then under news, I don't want to check all of those. We have FDA. So I checked the FDA box and I checked healthcare and biotech. So again, you can see how you have the table format on the left hand side. And then on the right hand side, you have the chronological news format for those FDA approvals. Let's see here. I'm seeing live for the Lord. The comments are clear, but the screen sharing is blurry. Did I miss something? I'll see. Yeah, make sure your YouTube settings are at full clarity. I'll try to. Yeah, I think everything is looking good on our end. But if I'm wrong, please let us know, and we always want to have the best quality visuals here. David is asking, how do I save my changes to columns in the watch list? David, in terms of the watch list columns, you can change the order of those columns. There's not really a way to save it at this point in time. It is currently resetting to the original columns. We're changing that. We're in the process of changing that across all of our tables on Benzinga Pro. So I would expect that to be updated within the next month here. It might be sooner than that. It might be a little bit later, but right now, unfortunately, you would have to manually readjust your columns on the watch list. Like personally, I really like taking the note section and then putting my notes right next to the current price. So then I can have my support and resistance levels, as well as any news catalysts that I identified right next to that real time price. Um, all right. Yeah, David, I feel you there. I've made the same comments to my product team, so hopefully we'll get that changed for you soon. Um, all right. Let's go back to the calendar tool here. We got about 9 minutes left on this session. If we don't get through all of these, I can always do another session. Um, but just to, I don't think we even need to go through every single one, but we do have guidance here as well. So, full year or quarterly guidance. Again, this has uh, the same data as on the news feed. So you can see minimum, maximum guidance, estimate um, for full year or the quarter. Then we've got IPOs. So if you want to check out IPOs that are coming up, that's handy. And then mergers and acquisitions are in here, as well as retail sales. Oh, SEC filings. I love the SEC filings calendar because you can filter by the form type. So right here where it says form type, I'm very familiar with the Form 4s where, it's an insider or someone on the C suite or something like that buying or selling shares. And then if you know what form you're looking for, you could search for that right here within the SEC calendar. You also have SEC filings available as a source on your newsfeed. Secondary offerings. Again, yeah, kind of like the initial public offerings, but it does also tell you whether or not it's a shelf offering. Splits are in here. Well, you can see the OTC 1 to 10,000 split. Interesting. And finally, we have the unusual options activity. I usually get a lot of questions on the unusual options activity calendar. And this is really what a lot of people refer to as the smart money. You might hear the Nigerian brothers talking about that on TV. Well, this is the same data, um, but with an algorithm that picks this up from the tape and with a lot of filters so you can find this in real time and you don't have to wait for someone else to tell you about it. And just a really quick example of this is, for example, I might care about the trade value where you can see a lot of these are not that much, like 25K. Maybe it's a lot for you and me, but for a hedge fund, that's literally nothing. As versus if I change this to look at an $11.3 million trade on Costco, okay, now we're talking. I'm interested. You have my attention with an $11.3 million trade or 7.4 million on ConocoPhillips. And then we can filter over here on the right hand side. We could say for the security type, maybe I just want those individual equities. And in that case, I would deselect the ETFs. And then I could also go to trade count. Maybe if you there can be significant trades that are not sweeps, but there's so many here right now that it's very difficult to parse out which ones are actually unusual. Like what's truly unusual. And so a sweep is just a way that you can filter down saying, okay, they had to put more effort and time into executing this trade. And if I say something like a trade count of greater than 20, that's going to narrow it down significantly. Then we also have volume over open interest, where that single order is a significant number of contracts compared to all of the other contracts of that type. So here I just said greater than zero point 0.1. And so it means that that one single order is at least 1/10 of all of the other contracts that have been traded up to that point. And then lastly, I could go back up to trade value. They changed the name of that on me, and I'll just say greater than 99,000. You could go higher than that if you want to. But that gives me something to work with here. And um, if I just sort by symbol now, I can go down the line here and say, all right, what was the strike price and what was the expiration date? And if it has the same strike price, same expiration date, you can start to see where some institutions may be doubling or even tripling down on bullish or bearish bets. So I'm just scrolling down here really quick to see if I have anything obvious. Like GME here, we've got GameStop puts, and I want to add in the sentiment column. So I'm adding the sentiment because I want to see if they're buying or selling these puts, and drag some of these columns over. All right. And so it looks like bullish, bearish, bearish. All right. So someone sold puts and a couple people bought puts. And you can see that this is a total of around 800, seven or $800,000 worth of puts being traded. You don't know if this is a multi-legged order. You don't know if this is a covered order. So when it says bullish or bearish, it's just referring to that specific trade. But there's a lot of great trades that you can find in here with swing trades or day trades. And it sort of serves as a beginning idea that then I would encourage each of you to then click into that company and see what else is going on, whether that's news, the charts, etc., to really confirm your trade. Um, I'm going back in here. Don't miss out on the St. Patty's Day sale. If you don't already have a subscription to Benzinga Pro, use this link to get 35% off. And if you have any questions, you can email me directly at jonathan@benzinga.com. I've got a bunch of other resources for you if you have any questions. And once you're inside of Benzinga Pro, there's this question mark in the upper right corner, and you can get a bunch of strategy videos, tutorial videos, like these strategy outlines, which show you that unusual options activity strategy, as well as the analyst rating stock picks that I covered in this session. And if you're a beginner, I recommend the simple gap and go setup as well. That doesn't really have to do with a calendar tool, but it's a great way to find movers in the morning and then map out support and resistance levels using the Benzinga Pro charting that's available. All right. Well, that was pretty quick. We tried to cover all 14 calendars here. I hope y'all have a fantastic day. Happy St. Patty's Day. Don't miss out on the 35% off. And as always, happy trading.